All right. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to the Fever Pitch Podcast. I'm your host, Brian. Dan is not here with us today. This is our first podcast with visuals, so if you're watching this on YouTube, thank you for coming. But if you're also watching it on Apple Podcast or Spotify, thank you for coming as well. We have a very special guest here. We have Jamaine Barnie. What can I say? I've known this man for 4+ years.
They know me.
This is true. This is part 2.
They know me.
Yeah. This is our second interview.
Good to be back.
It's definitely good to be back. How you been, man? What you been up to?
We've been good, working. Mm-hmm. See my work truck out there.
Yeah.
But now working. It's so interesting because, that's what we were talking about a little bit earlier. You spend like 16 years of your life just doing school.
Yeah.
Right? 6+. And then it just stops. And now you have to decide what to do next. Right? And so a lot of different plans, a lot of different opportunities come. And we just take it one step at a time. You know what I'm saying? Stacking up that bread. Future billionaire coming soon.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I'm maybe just a millionaire.
Just a millionaire? Nah, shoot for the stars.
It's not I had a one. It's just pressure. Imagine being a billionaire and everybody's like, why don't you give your money out? And people hate you because you're rich. I don't know. I feel like it just comes with stress. More money, more stress.
That is true. Where do you feel like your aspirations and goals come from?
I don't know. I think some people have it, some people don't. I think it's just a drive to want more. Mm-hmm. I personally, I see life as like a big game. It's like a big game board. Mm-hmm. And it's like all your decisions kind of either build towards like a good game or build towards a bad game, right? Mm-hmm. And so for me, it's just fun achieving things. It's fun pursuing things. It's fun having a goal and achieving it. I feel like the best feeling in the world is when you have a goal. Like you have something that you want to do and you do it and you're just like, yo, I accomplished that. And you see the journey and like how hard it was. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. How about you? What drives you? Yeah, let the people know who Brian is. What drives you? Actually, before you start.
Yeah.
Brian and I go back at least 5 years now, 4 or 5 years now.
Yeah, we're coming on year 5 for real.
I'm gonna tell you guys a little short story about Brian.
Oh, okay.
To kind of show you the personality type that Brian is.
Okay, I don't know what he's about to say.
We haven't talked about this, but
yeah. We'll see if this will be in the podcast.
Hey, don't cut this out. It's embarrassing. I'm kidding. Nah, so this is maybe 4 years ago. Brian and I are in fire training, and the interesting thing is our instructor is also our captain at our firehouse. And so we kind of have this big relationship. And I think what we're doing was coming to an end. You know where I'm going?
Oh, yeah.
It was coming towards a exam period for our fire class. Yeah. And so we had class today. Tomorrow was a review day. And the next day was our exam. And so the day of, our captain / instructor comes to us hey guys, because we usually went to go get food for lunchtime. There was a 7-Eleven close by, so we'd just go get food or whatever was around, come back. And he was like, hey guys, don't go get food for the review because we're trying to go over as much material as possible. If you go get food, that would delay class and all of that. So we're like, okay. So the day comes, we're doing our stuff, I think it was a drill day. And then we had during the lunchtime, they were going to go over material for the written exam. And so it's lunchtime, and Brian is like, I'm hungry. and then me and one of our other friends like, yeah. We're like, yeah, actually look like we're hungry too. But
let's provide context. It's a long day. It started at 8 a.m.
Yeah.
We supposed to end at 3?
It was 3 or 5, 3 to 5 somewhere.
Oh yeah, it was 8 to 5.
Yeah,
right?
it was 8 to 5.
It's 1 or 2 o'clock. It's
and we're doing physical we're throwing ladders, we're throwing fire hoses, we're floating we're doing heavy stuff all day. So it's not like we're just sitting there, you know what I'm saying?
Right, we're doing the thing.
And Brian is a big boy. So he's like, I'm hungry. So we're like, yeah, but we can't leave. And Brian is like, look, I'm gonna go. If y'all wanna come, y'all can come. And we're like, I bet. so me, Brian,
I think Zay came too.
Yeah. Isaiah, I feel like maybe Kamalo.
Yeah, a lot of us came.
Yeah, we're F it, let's go. So we went to 7-Eleven, we got some food, we're living life, we come back. Yo, We come back, and okay, let's give context. So our instructor slash captain of our firehouse, he's a very intense. I think he was in the military.
Yeah.
He's like very like disciplined, very by the book, very like think of like a drill sergeant. That was him. But
Serious
like
guy.
cool guy, like one of the nicest people. But like when it comes to business, like he's just boom, boom, boom.
He's on
so
it.
you don't want to play with this man. This man has
Do not.
this man has told us not to go out. So boom, we come back, with our food in hand. Brian is smiling. He gives us a look, and he's like, we'll deal with this after class.
Yeah.
And then like we're like, oh damn, okay. So anyway, class ends, and usually after class ends, we go to the firehouse to kind of put our gear away, just put stuff away, and then go home. So we get to our firehouse, and someone else comes in. He's like, hey guys, you guys are in some trouble. So sit here, and don't go yet until you know your quote unquote punishment. Mm-hmm. So we're sitting there, like, what could it be? What could it be? Or are they gonna make us wash the equipment? Are they gonna make us wash the fire truck, the ambulance? And then we're just sitting there, and then we see the guy, the instructor. He leaves, and so some other officer comes to us, and he's like, "Hey guys, your punishment is gonna be running up and down the staircase." And so like, oh,
cool.
Like I'm an athlete. He's an athlete. Like I'm fine. I know he's fine. Like we're cool. Like cool. He's like, no, in full gear. Okay, I'm like, okay, that still's not that bad.
Yeah.
With added equipment. So added equipment as in you have stand pack pipes, which are basically hose that we use to go up like up buildings and stuff. And so like it's decently heavy. Mm-hmm. Along with fire extinguishers, along with Halligan, just other tools. Yeah. And so like I'll say we're probably holding up to anywhere from 50 to like almost 80 pounds of equipment, depending. So they give everyone something different
on top of the gear that's
they're already having. Yeah.
So everybody's carrying around like anywhere from like 80
probably
to
80 to 100. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and we're like, damn. Okay. And I think they wanted us to go up and down like 20 times. So up and down is one.
Yeah.
So. We start. Brian, the whole time, Brian was like, easy, let's go. Like, this is Brian. Like, I'm telling y'all who Brian is. He's like, at the front, like, yeah, let's go. He's holding like two things. Let's go. And then we start. And, pretty much, the first like 5, everyone was good.
Yeah.
After 5, one of our guys, he passes out at the top stair. He just passes out. A few more. I think Zay like still passed out too. Like people are just dropping like fries. Brian has not broken a stride. Brian has not broken a sweat. I'm there one step at a time. Let's go. Brian just at a certain point, Brian started picking up. So like as people like were falling, they were dropping their equipment and tools, and so they were making those of us who were still going grab whatever they dropped.
Yeah.
I couldn't. Brian was just taking it, just holding like 8 different, just booking it, and they knew they could not break Brian. And like for those of you who may be watching, I don't know Brian. That's like who Brian. Brian is just, I don't care. I'm gonna do whatever I need to do to be successful. Like he's just gonna go until his body or his brain just quits. And even then, he's probably still gonna go. So break that down for us.
Why did I do that?
No, not even why did you do that, but like where'd you get that mentality from? Those who have, he has this intensity that is, in my opinion, is it's unmatched. So where does that come from?
My intensity, I don't know at what point in my life I decided that I wanted to do things that not many people do. Mm. And when I reached that point that I wanted to do things that not many people do, achieve great things, right? I knew that it was going to require more effort than I ever put into things. And specifically for the event that you're referring to, right? I knew that there was going to be a consequence, but my thing was, I'm hungry, so whatever the consequence is, I'll just suffer the consequence. Right? Because at the end of the day, I wanted to get food. And I would have been cool going to get food by myself too, you know, right? So regardless of what it was.
You were going to get food.
Yeah, I was going to get food, right? and I was going to deal with whatever the consequence was. And when the consequence came, I knew that I cannot give the consequence the satisfaction of knowing that, oh, there will be a lesson learned from this, that I should not do this again. But the lesson I did learn from that was, though I may be able to suffer consequences, right, when I pursue things, I need to make sure it's not being disruptive or harmful to others. That was a big thing there.
Yeah.
Right? Because, you know, it was hard seeing everybody tap out.
Yeah,
I'm like,
no, like,
it
one
made
of the
me want to
guys,
go harder.
remember, I don't know if you want to bleep his name out.
Yeah, don't say that.
But he doesn't volunteer anymore.
Yeah.
Actually passed out.
Yeah.
Passed out on top of the stairs. I think they had to get him, like, cold packs, because this is summer. And,
it was 90.
And you're wearing full fire gear, and you're exercising, and you're holding equipment.
Oh, yeah.
And so he passed out, and at first we're all just like, oh, damn.
Yeah.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, have you always been that way, like, growing up? Have you always been that, like, determined, like, I need to, like, get this, I need to pursue?
I would say that I've always pursued things, but when I've always been open to trying new things, but from throughout my life, whatever I was interested in.
Yeah.
And obviously, in elementary school, it's like simple things like, oh, I want to play basketball at the local community place. Or it would be things like, oh, like I'm in elementary school.
You play basketball? I'll bust you up.
You would not.
I'll bust you up.
We've played basketball.
And I busted y'all up.
You didn't.
What?
You didn't.
Brian just fouls.
That's not true.
He just fouls. He
That's
just picks you up and moves you. Yeah, and
true.
if we have if like Zay refs, I will drop you. Hey,
No.
next video. If we get subscribers and likes, I will 1v1 Brian.
You know, you can try.
Hey, this is a hoop right here.
There is. You can try. But, what was I going to say? I'd say throughout my life, it was definitely more of it kind of built up to it, right?
Right.
Like, as I pursued different things, like, in high school, I just tried a bunch of different clubs, right? And as I was trying new things and added it onto my plate, I was like, okay, I can handle this.
Right.
Okay, I can handle 2 or 3 clubs at a time, and 4 and 5 and 6. I'm like, okay, it's on different days of the weeks. Things are manageable. And then afterwards, I'll just go to practice or whatever. And then I do my homework. And it just made sense.
Yeah.
So I'd say it was a consistent thing over time. And then I also have to thank my parents for that as well.
What did they do?
Like, I'd say, like, at a young age, I was in, it was called, like, Kumon. It was like a math and, like, reading, like, learning thing, like, accelerator thing. I used to do that growing up as well. I hated it.
I know.
I actually hated it.
Yeah.
But I will say, doing that and my parents staying on me to keep doing that and stay on top of school and things of that nature, it made me always want to strive to do the best that I could, be the best that I could be.
Right.
I guess a lot of it came out of, like, perfectionism initially, but then overall, it just determined grit.
So, like,
Created a determination.
have you heard of, like, the dualism or the opposite sides of nature versus nurture, right? So if you have a kid, does that kid become X, whether that be a doctor, whether that be a criminal, whether that be whatever that kid grows up to become? Is it more based in nature versus nurture? What do you think? What's your opinion on that?
I think a lot of things are based in nurture, and then on top of that, I mean, how do you define nature? Just like biologically, chemically, or like the environment?
Right, like biologically, like if without your parents' intervention, right? Let's say you were raised by negligent parents who maybe they were negligent, but they were not that into your academic life. They weren't that into your social club, sports life, and you were just left to do kind of what you wanted to do. Do you think you would have still become who you are today, or do you think their intervention is what molded you? So the nurture side is what molded you to who you are today.
I think it was more
because I feel like overall you still have a more of an A-type personality. I think naturally, so like A-type personality is like the person who's like always going, the person who's like leader type.
Yeah.
I think that's who you are.
Yeah.
As a person, whether you would have become a drug dealer with that or a doctor with that, but like I feel like that A-type personality is still there, which I think is just nature.
It probably just is nature because my siblings are the same way. Like my sister, she works hard and does things of that nature, and no matter what the environment, she knows what she wants to do to be successful.
Right.
My little brother, I've seen he's doing the same things.
Yeah.
Like in his environment too, as he's in a university as well. So I definitely say it's probably a mixture. It's a combination, but the nurture of it all too. Like for us to see our parents, like because first generation immigrants,
right,
to see them grinding and always working towards things, no matter what it be.
Yeah, and
it's not like they sat us down. It's like, oh, this is what we're doing. This is what is going on. It's just like things that we saw through their actions. Whether it's I see my father working late nights to make sure that he can provide for the family, and I see my mother. She has a long day at work, but she still comes home and makes food for us, and she's helping us with our homework. Right. She's taking us to any extracurriculars that we have. Yeah. She's making sure that we're good to go and we have everything that we need to succeed. Right. I think the nurturing was the accelerant, but we always all had that underlying nature, and it could have been applied in different ways, and it probably would have been visualized or displayed differently, but by having that nurturing, we were able to direct what it was going to be.
Yeah. So, but like how did that turn into like your passion for football? So like when did you first realize that like hitting people was fun? Like when was like your first joy of football? Like what are some of your football stories that you have?
So I'll tell you about how I tried out for the football team.
Okay.
Up until high school, I had no interest in football. I never really watched it too much, paid attention to it when it came on the TV. Obviously, I watched like the Super Bowl and stuff like that. But for me, it was more of, okay, this is a sport, but I like basketball. I liked watching basketball. I like playing basketball with my friends. Like, we would play outside, either like in the driveways or we had local parks nearby. Yeah. So that's what the primary focus was. But then I realized in middle school, I was like, oh, I don't, no. I was like, I don't seriously train for basketball or play on like a competitive team. I never played AAU or anything like that. Yeah. I play like the local county team that everybody just signs up for, stuff like that. So it was never like a serious like, oh, I'm gonna take basketball seriously. It was always for fun. So when I got to high school, my friend Max, he was trying out for the football team, and he told me, he was like, oh yeah, you should try out too. Yeah. I was like, oh.
Were you big going into high school?
Yeah, I was like 5'10", 5'11", so I've been pretty much the size, but like obviously I hadn't like lifted weights or anything before, so I was like on the scrawnier side. Right. Yeah. So, but I was still like big. I would probably say I was like probably like 160, 170. Yeah. So, but just like any athleticism at that point was just innate. I hadn't really like trained for anything. Yeah. So I tried out, and then when I got on the team, I was like, oh, I guess I'll do this.
How good was the team?
Our team was good. My freshman year, the varsity team went to states.
Oh wow!
And then we lost.
I mean, so making it to states is
But then it was we were good in the county because we were the biggest high school. But I also think like we had good coaching as well. Yeah. And whenever it came to playoffs, we'd win the first few rounds. Like my sophomore, junior, and senior year. Well, every year except my senior year, we kept losing to this team called Dr. Henry A. Wise High School. Okay. You know, that's
if you're losing to a team called Dr. Henry's A.Y. High School, y'all were busted.
Do you know
Dr. Henry's?
Dr. Henry A. Wise High School?
Oh my goodness. Y'all were busted.
Wise?
My team will never lose to Dr. Henry's.
they were like one of the best teams out of Prince George's County. You guys would lose to them. Letting you go, football, basketball, track, whatever it be. You guys are losing to them.
Yeah.
Listen, Wise was really good, and I think they had like open enrollment, so anybody in the county could like go or something like that.
Okay.
So they had a bunch of like I think they had like some 5-star, 4-star, and 3-star recruits. Well, back when I was in high school, so they had people who were committing and going to schools like Clemson, Florida State, Ohio State, and things of that nature. So it wasn't really a competition for.
They blew you guys out.
Absolutely.
And you went like that.
I mean,
The Brian I know does not.
I mean, and that was a pivotal time where I realized, you know, you need to also know how to train and prepare for things.
Right.
Right? Because, yeah, we were practicing and training, but what we were doing, it was good enough to beat, like, our county teams and, like, our teams in the region. But on a state level, what they were doing at Wise was probably different. They probably practiced different. They probably had a different intensity and overall schedule. There's probably overall more group buy-in from the team.
Right.
Right? Because it takes 50 people to fill a football roster.
Wow.
But not everybody would try out every year.
Right.
Right. You had those people who tried out their freshman year and stayed all 4 years.
Yeah.
You had people who pick it up their sophomore year, junior year. You had people who would either move to the area and then they would come to the football team. Yeah, but it was pretty widely accepted that if you were going to play football, you needed to dedicate a lot of time to it. Yeah.
So for you, like, going into that game, against Dr. Henry, AY, whatever.
Oh, I also didn't play that game.
Oh, you didn't play?
We played them my freshman year. I was on JV, and sophomore year I was also on JV. Junior year, I had a concussion.
Oh,
so, yeah.
How'd you get the concussion?
I got it in practice. Yeah.
Big hit?
Yeah.
What happened?
It was so there was a pulling guard, right? We were doing because I played defensive end. We were doing a drill where I was playing on the second team defense and I was going up against first team offense. So I was acting as if I was the defense for another team, right? So what the defense does is they crash into the pulling offensive guard. An offensive guard is typically anywhere in the range from 270 to 300 pounds.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm a big guy, but I'm not that big. Yeah.
Oh, I see. So it was like a head.
It was head to head.
Jesus.
Yeah, and I just got a concussion from it. So.
Do you remember, like, were you dizzy?
Oh yeah, no, my vision split. I saw the full spectrum of colors. Everything was like purple, blue, red.
What?
Green. Yeah, and then I hit the ground, and then I sat up, and I sat there for a while, and then I think my coaches came up to me to ask me if I was like okay, and I just kept saying like, huh, like I didn't really know what was going on.
Yeah.
But this is not an interview of me. We're here to
No,
interview
it was fascinating. So wait, your senior year, did you play that team?
No, we lost before we played Wise.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it was actually very bittersweet. It was actually.
Who'd you guys lose to? Were you guys supposed to beat that team?
It was a team we were supposed to be. We lost to Mervo, but our team wasn't as strong senior year. There was one, like, the coach who was coaching my freshman year on varsity. He had left, and I think he had moved to, like, Massachusetts or something.
Yeah.
So at that point, like, the coach, we had gotten them from a different high school. I think he had come to my high school. And don't get me wrong, he was a good coach, but he had a different system. And with any system, it takes a few years to set it in and like build up that culture. So
gotcha.
It was already like a winning culture, so like we were able to like sustain through that for like a while. But I'd say like my senior year was like the year we started to like trickle and like fall off.
Gotcha. And I'll leave you alone after this question. But I just want to know, like, how did you prepare for games, especially big games? How would you mentally prepare? How would you physically prepare? The day of, the night before. How was your routine?
What was my routine? The day before, so I used to have weights every day as like a class. So like the day before, I'd go light on weights, right? Because I want to be able to. I don't want to be sore, you know. And then what would I do? We'd always have a team dinner, right?
The night before.
No, the day of the game, right? The day of the game, you know, I had my headphones, so I'd always be listening to some mix of music. It was.
What would you listen, like rap?
Yeah, rap music.
No Afrobeats?
Nah,
you fake African.
Listen, I didn't listen to Afro. I listened to Afrobeats now. I didn't listen to Afrobeats back then.
Me too, me
like high school, I didn't know.
I didn't know
college.
Yeah, me too.
Like I would know like the stuff that I always heard at like the parties.
Yeah,
you know? But like I didn't know.
No, I feel it.
The stuff, right? So then so we'd have the team dinners, and then after that, everybody would start getting ready, getting taped up, and then after that, we'd have like an hour or two before the game, because team dinner used to be at like, it was like almost immediately after school. It was like an hour or two after school, so it'd be like 3, 4. It would be like either like around like 4 to 5, and the game is at like I believe we'll start at like 7. So we had time. So we're eating the dinner at 4, and then the football moms, they would make the dinner for us. It was a nice dinner. Yeah. It'd be like pasta, lasagna. They would make cookies, bananas. Yeah, yeah.
I mean, yeah, it makes
got
sense.
carb load before.
Yeah.
Because you're gonna spend so much energy.
I don't know how you're able to eat before games, bro.
Oh no, I would crush.
That's so crazy to me.
I would eat a lot.
For me, I had to starve.
Oh.
Like even now, like when I work, if I eat anything remotely heavy before I work or during work, I just want to sleep. I just have no desire to do whatever. So I wouldn't. So like I'll finish school at what, like 2:30.
Yeah.
I wouldn't eat. Game would be like what, 7-ish. I wouldn't eat till the game, and I'll play, and then I'll eat after the game.
Oh, wait. So you wouldn't eat all day?
I mean, I may eat like breakfast or like lunch at like 12, but past 3 I could not eat.
Why? Did you ever try to eat and play?
Yeah, I just felt heavy. Especially when it's like soccer, you need to be like light and agile.
Yeah.
And I felt like when I ate, I just felt stuck. Like I felt stuck in the mud. I didn't want to run, and like you're running a lot. Yeah. And so I felt like when I was hungry, I still felt light. Right? But when I eat, I feel heavy and dense and like I think when I was younger, I used to eat before my mom like forced me to eat before games, and I just feel like I played so bad. So I just not eat. And I felt like I was flying. Like I just feel like I could just do more, you know? So like when I see like, I think even before fire stuff, or like Jordan, like you have like the biggest lunch.
Oh yeah.
And you would just crush.
Absolutely.
And I'm like, Brian, you good? Like, yeah. We're like, what?
Yeah. I need, because like, I think like, I also like, I need to like eat. You know?
Yeah.
Like,
I got you.
I guess people, I need to be full.
People
like,
are just different.
Yeah, like once I'm like full, I'd say for like physical labor, it's like cool. But if it's like I'm about to like study for like a long period of time, then I'll probably eat like a lighter meal, eat some small, because then I'll get like lethargic.
Yeah.
Because it's like, if I'm not like eating and then moving around.
Yeah. Hey, lethargic. Yeah. Break down that lethargic word for those who don't know.
Oh, lethargic is like slow, droopy. Your body feels heavy.
Yeah.
Kind of like what you were talking about, right? The body would start feeling heavy and things of that nature. Yeah. So that's why I would.
We got doctors here using doctor terms. I feel you guys. All right, I watch out for the common man.
Hey.
No, but what was like your hardest moment? Was there like a person on another team that you played that you were ever like, man, this person is good, that you had to overcome, or was there ever a situation that you were like, oh man, this is a tough situation that you're able to overcome when it comes to like your football career?
My football career. So I think also my senior year. Actually, no. I'll talk about, there was one my sophomore year. So our sophomore year, we didn't go 10-0 in the county. We lost our first game. Right. I had just come back from Ghana, right?
Oh, yeah.
And then I didn't have to try out because I was already on the team last year. I'd already talked to the coach. I wasn't going to be able to make it. And he was like, all right, cool. You know what I'm saying? Just like work out, do what you got to do, right? So I came back and I was like, oh, I assumed I was going to start both ways.
Yeah.
But then when I came, there was the freshmen, right? They also had been like, a lot of kids had been playing football their whole life, right? And I realized very quickly I have to earn my starting spot back now that I'm here. It wasn't just guaranteed, right? So there was that trial and tribulation of I have to always make sure I'm going 120, 130% on every rep
Yeah.
to show that I'm capable of starting, and not only starting, but starting both ways. Because my sophomore year, I also played offensive guard.
Oh shit.
Right, so I play offensive guard and defensive end. So I was on the field pretty much the whole game.
Yeah.
Right. So I just showed that I was capable of doing so.
Right.
And when I showed I was capable of doing so, that's when I was able to earn the starting job back to be a defensive end and offensive guard.
Damn.
Yeah.
So you play the whole game.
Yeah.
Jesus. How banged up would your body be after games?
I think I would just be tired.
Yeah.
I'd be like...
Not sore? Like the next day you wouldn't be like...
Oh, I think I would be sore, but like, it's like I was lifting weights so often and stuff like that.
You're just used to like the...
Like, if I was sore or anything, like, that's just... I was always sore.
Yeah.
Right? It wasn't like anything excessive. And it's like, after the games... Because I didn't go out in high school, so it's like after the games, I just come home, go to sleep, wake up and go to film in the morning.
And now you're a party animal.
No, I'm not a party animal, I'd say, but like obviously you get to college, you start learning what it's like to like go outside.
So let's talk about college. What was that high school to college transition like for you?
The college to high school transition. For me,
the high school to college transition.
Yeah. The high school to college transition for me. It was pretty smooth for real.
Yeah.
I'd say like for me, like I came in with like a chip on my shoulder because initially I didn't want to go to Maryland.
Really?
Yeah, no. Initially I wanted to go to NYU. And I had gotten into NYU, but I didn't get money to go to NYU. So I knew that I was like, okay, I'm going to go to UMD and then I'm going to transfer to NYU. That was the plan. Right. So that first semester.
And then he met me, guys. He decided to stay.
No, the pandemic. COVID happened my first year. And I was like, I'm going to transfer to a private school that costs $70,000 a year.
Yeah.
And do it virtually. That didn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
So I just stayed at UMD and I was like, okay, people at UMD are cool. I'm learning things. And I'm doing well in my classes. So I'm going to just do what I have to do.
Yeah.
Do
you feel like, because I feel like my college journey, I feel like...
What was your transition like? That's the real question.
It was nothing, I don't know. So like, growing up, my mom, this is my mom and I, and my mom worked so much, she had like two jobs, that 90% of the time I was home alone. Or I was just by my, like, so I was used to like, being alone or like going out by myself or I mean I have my friends and stuff, but I developed this thing where I just love to be alone. And so going to college where like and like this big like it's a massive campus.
It is.
So many people, you're meeting so many people every day. It was just like it was exhausting.
Yeah.
But like lucky for me, my roommate was one of my best friends I've known since elementary school. Actually, the funny thing about that guy is so when I moved from Ghana to here, I lived with a few other people because my mom was working, and then when I finally transferred to like my main city, which I still live in now, and I was going to the elementary school, I literally built all my friends through soccer. So all of my friends from elementary school to probably high school were just soccer, and so I met this guy, and then this is like 5th or 4th grade. It was I moved there around November, so we're making Thanksgiving turkeys and stuff like that. And this kid, he came to me, he's like, do you need help with that? And I was like, sure. So he helped me I had like 3 days to finish it. He helped me finish it. And then over recess, we'll go outside and we'll play soccer. Anyway, that kid that I met in that class was big rivals with this other kid from another class. They were soccer rivals.
Oh.
And so the other kid from another class had a buddy, and they were like best friends, and they would like dominate the guy who I met in that class.
Oh.
Because it was just him.
Yeah.
And so he kind of like, yeah, Jamaine, like, yeah, you gotta play for my team. Because I played soccer, I'm from Ghana, like, well, I was decent.
Oh, he was recruiting.
Yeah, I got recruited. So he's like, yeah, so me and him just became best friends, and we used to like, us two versus like the other two, every single, like one time, I think we were in recess, and I I forgot if it was me or someone else went up for a ball and just one of us just shoved the other person into the goalpost. It was competitive, yo.
Oh.
Like we used to see each other in the hallways, just stare each other down. We would push each other. We hated each other. Funny enough, I'm like very good best friends now with the other two kids.
Oh,
and
man.
the other kid, he was my roommate. And so, middle school, we all play for the same middle school team.
Yeah.
High school, we all play high school together.
Yeah.
College, we play club soccer together. And so, like, he was my roommate. So, like, it was fun with him. But it was just, the transition was weird. You know? And it's so interesting because, like, when people come to college, the people, I feel like the kids who were, like, really sheltered in high school just go all out in college, right? They like they go to the clubs every weekend. They just turn up, right? Not all of them. Like I feel like we know some people. I know someone who lives in this area who was super restricted growing up, and they're even more restricted in college.
Yeah.
But she will remain nameless.
Yeah.
But and I remember people were like, "Yo, Jamaine, why don't you want to go out?" And I was like, I felt like I was never really restricted because, again, I was home. But like, if I wanted to go out,
you could have.
I could have. Like, I had no interest in it. You know. For you, like, did you have interest in going out and like partying or any of that?
No, not really.
Yeah.
Not like growing
Not
up.
until your senior year.
What are you talking about? In college or?
Yeah, in college.
Oh, in college.
Yeah.
Oh, I would say.
Yeah. Exposed.
Oh, okay. I would say in college it was more of a like you're grinding, study for the exam, or you have extracurricular leadership position that you're involved in that's like taking a lot of your time. So the times that I would go out, like I would go out with friends, it would either be to like a local place or sometimes we would just meet up and kick it.
Yeah.
Right? It was never too stressful. Like we would just do what we had to do, whether it was visiting neighboring schools, things of that nature, going to DC.
Yeah. That's interesting.
But tell me about your transition from high school to college. What was that like for you?
Yeah, so it was, apart from just getting adjusted to, just meeting and seeing so many new people, I felt like it was fine. I don't know, academically, I never really tried. Like, elementary school, middle school, I remember literally even to this day when I'm studying, I'll have like a soccer game on the TV. I'll be playing music. I'll be watching a new show. Maybe have my notes that I may have took from class, just reviewing stuff. Like I never, even in college, like I'll be studying for an Orgo exam. I'll have an NBA game on with like
you had an NBA game on studying Orgo.
And that's one of the things. My biggest regret going through school was I felt like I never fully like tried. My grades were always like decent, like A's and B's. Even in college, or go C. Anyway, but I feel like academically, I never really like tried. I'll do the whole like day before, few days before, last minute. I remember for one of my exams, the whole semester never did a thing. And then we had an exam. And then one of my friends, she would be like, "Yo, Jimmy, we have to sleep. I'll be like, "Okay, fine." And so like 2 days before, we'll just put all-nighter studying. And I'll take the exam and I'll just bomb it. Because like, in like these high level, like you can't just last minute it. But I just never learned. And I don't know if I just didn't care. I don't know if I'll just, and that's the thing is when you're able to start in middle school and high school, learning the proper ways to study, the proper techniques to study, being able to, because I just couldn't look at my paper with no distractions. I just couldn't do it. And like, it just became such a challenge for me in college where like, I still couldn't do it. And yeah, like the easier mid-level classes, I'll get my A's and B's, but like high-level classes like Orgo or Biochem or whatever, it was just so difficult for me. And I made it so much harder. And that's probably one of my biggest regrets is I wish going back to like elementary school and middle school, I wish I taught myself how to study, and circumstances where my mom would be literally from elementary school to high school. I'll come home from school, my mom will be at work. I'll come make my ramen, make my whatever sauce I put with it, put on Naruto, and from 3 till like 9, 10, till when my mom got home, I'll just watch Naruto and eat ramen. And then my mom will get home and be like, have you done your homework? I go, yeah. Spend maybe like an hour doing it, go to sleep, repeat. Up until like high school. And so like I feel like I never really like, and in class I would pay attention.
Yeah.
And that was just able to sustain me until I got to college where I was like, wait a minute. These hard classes are actually hard. And I just I struggled. I struggled with that. I mean eventually, I did what I had to do where I finished, but I feel like I never academically truly hit where I wanted to be, you know? And so I'll say probably that was probably my biggest struggle. But, you know, I feel like I still had a pretty decent experience. Well, how about academically for you? Do you feel like you had a pretty good routine? Like you were able to...
I would say for me, the routine was definitely good to start out with because I came into college with a chip on my shoulder. I was like, I'm trying to get out of this institution. So I would study very intensely. Like, you could probably ask Dan about this, but it used to be like randomly at like 11 p.m. we'd be sitting in the room just chatting. I'd be like, why don't you just go to the library, just like study?
Yeah.
Right? And then we would go to like the 6th floor. I'm talking about, this is early in the semester before people start like, you know, going up there and like fake studying, you know what I'm saying? So nobody's there.
Yeah.
And like we'd be there from like 11 to like 2 or 3 just studying. And it's like those first few weeks, you're probably thinking, what are you studying?
Yeah.
I would do the practice problems that, especially for like calculus, I would do the practice problems the suggested practice problems, and I would pre-read the chapters before going to class. I would take notes.
Wow, I never did that.
And it was like, and I just assumed this is what everybody was doing because everybody was always telling me college is hard, college is very difficult, college is hard. When you go there, your mom's not going to be there to help you, tell you, remind you what to do, things of that nature. Because even like in high school, sometimes like I'll be studying like late or like after like a long day, I'd do my homework. I'd like I'd go to sleep, and it's so crazy because high school used to be at 6 a.m.
Yeah.
Like, well, it used to start at 7 a.m. So I just have to get up like 6, right? And
but then you will struggle to wake up to like your idioms, right?
Yeah, but after I think second semester, I had 8 a.m. but then COVID hit, so then I was like, I was like, oh, I'm never taking 8 a.m. again. So my mother would wake me up, or if I didn't wake up to my alarm, she would come wake me up because my sister, she was also like, what's it called? She was 2 grades ahead of me. So like my freshman year of college, she was in her junior year.
Yeah. She also went to Maryland?
High school. My freshman year of high school, she was a junior in high school.
Gotcha.
So we'd walk up to the bus stop together. So if my mom didn't wake me up, my sister would come to my room like, what are you doing? Yeah. And then I'd get ready and do what I had to do. So I was like, okay, so there's going to be nobody there but just me and myself. I don't want to fall behind. Everybody says if you start off well, you can continue you can continue at that intensity.
Yep.
I would say the big thing for me was in college was you have to learn what to pick up and add to your plate and what to leave alone.
Yeah.
Right? Because
it's a lot, right? Just a lot of different things.
Ultimately, it's time.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't say that for me, I never really viewed school as difficult. It was just, if I didn't understand something, I knew I wasn't putting in enough time or dedicating enough effort to going to figure it out. Because I think everybody can figure out something if given enough time. Yeah. Or if you study beforehand or things of that nature. Because going into Orgo, I studied before Orgo began.
That's crazy.
So that I could... Because my RA on my floor, she was pre-med, and she was talking about how Orgo messed her up and things of that nature. And she said she wished she pre-studied and used this book. I was like, oh, so what was that book called? Yeah. I was like, okay. And then another one of the RAs was pre-med too. She was like, yeah, she got an A and this is what she did. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay, so I'm going to pre-study. And I was like, okay, what's a good professor to take, right? And I think the key is you have to...
Set yourself up for success.
Set yourself up for success. ask people what they've done before
Yeah.
you so that you can know how to navigate. Because my parents didn't go to college in this country. I didn't know exactly what I should be doing or how I should be going about it. But once I started like trying to figure it out, and if you ask people, they're willing to tell you what they did. It's not like some secret. Like, people aren't as much of gatekeepers as much as people think. You just have to be able to humble yourself and ask, like, hey, I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to approach this, but I need to figure it out.
And I think that was one of my problems was, I think, my ego of going to someone to be like, I don't know this. Because apart from that, my whole academic career, I just got it. Like, I was sitting in class, the teacher will talk, I got it. Exam, I'll get a 80-something or a 90-something. Yeah. And I was satisfied with that. So, like, and so to get to college and be like, oh, snap. One, I've procrastinated for the last 3 weeks, and now we have an exam next week, and I don't understand any of this. Like, how am I going to... Like, I just felt like, man, this person's going to see me as dumb. This person's going to see me as stupid. So I never went to office hours once. Once. Actually, I'll tell you a funny story.
Yeah.
I took calc. I think it was calc 1 or calc 1. I don't even know how I got to calc. I honestly, college, it's a blur. And I was never really good at math.
Yeah.
I've been decent, like, to get by, but never really been that good. Never really asked for help. Never anything. And so I was taking calc, and, you know, calc started. I was like, oh, this is kind of like pre-calc. This is pretty easy.
Yeah.
And then it got hard. Like, I just didn't. I would show up to class and just sit in class like, what the heck is he talking about? I wouldn't read anything. But then like before exams, I would, like, you know, watch YouTube videos. So I was trying to understand, and maybe I'll skate by with like a 70 or 72.
Yeah.
And I remember I bombed one of the exams, like 40 something. Just bombed it, and I was doing really bad in the class. And actually, I knew the professor who was teaching the class, because every Saturday morning, me and my roommate would go play soccer at this park, and he was one of the guys who would play. And so I think I took calc my sophomore year. And so, you know, and even before college, my cousin went to UMD.
Yeah.
And he also played soccer, and he also played with him.
Yeah.
And so from when I was in high school, I'll go play with him. And I never knew he was a calc professor. But like,
he's a professor, or is he a teaching assistant?
Oh, he's a professor.
Oh, he's a professor.
He's a professor.
You guys play soccer with him?
Yeah.
Oh.
He's from Iran, and he's like a running machine.
Okay.
So, like, you know, I knew him through soccer, like, so I never like, he would never tell us like he was a professor. And so when I showed up to class, I was like, wait, I know you. So after class, I remember we chatted it up, cool. And then I remember I was struggling with the class, and I went to play soccer one day. He's like, yo, Jamaine, what's going on? Like, you're struggling. And I was like, yeah, I know. I'll catch up. And he's like, yo, Jamaine, like, come to office hours. Like, I'll help. Like, I got you. And like, he was like a pretty intense guy, but like he's knew me since I was there. So like, he was very nice to me. And so I remember I went to office hours one time, and then I remember he was like asking me questions about like what I knew, and I felt myself like lying to him. Because
you can't do that, man.
I didn't want him to think I was just that dumb. So he was like, yeah, so like, do you know how to find the limit of this? I was like, yeah. And I knew how to get by. Yeah. And so like, after I was like, oh, but like, I didn't get anything out of it. And I never went back. Anyway, final exam came, and I think I had like a 70 or 72. So I had to do decent, or else like my grade will tank.
Yeah.
And I was like, what am I going to do? The first 2 exams I bombed. The last exam I did pretty decent. I had like a 70 or 72. I was like, man, what am I going to do? So I remember I took the exam, and I just felt like I bombed it. And so I sent him an email. I was like, hey, I really think I did poorly. Is there any way I can make up for anything else in the class? And he just never responded to me. And so anyway, exam grades come back, and I got like a 75. But it didn't. My heart. I've seen him. I've never asked him. So my heart of hearts believe he blessed me.
You think so?
Because Brian, I was taking the exam like, what the hell am I doing? And like, sometimes, you know, we'll be like, what the heck are we doing? Yeah. And like, but like, you still feel like you know the material a little bit. But like, man, this was hard, bro. Not only was it hard, but I didn't know what I was doing.
Oh.
I refuse to believe I did that good.
But maybe you did.
Maybe, but in my heart of hearts, I think he's just like, yo, this is my boy.
Yeah.
Let me help him out a little bit.
And that's also, if you're still in school, take the time to get to know your professors, because either you did well or your professor did bless you.
Yeah.
And 9 times out of 10, a professor will bless you if you take the time to go to office hours, get to know them.
Yeah.
Because you have to think, they're up there talking to a bunch of kids who
Most
looks
of them
like
don't care.
They don't care.
Yeah.
They're either slouched over, they're not caring, things of that nature.
Headphones in on their phone.
Headphones in.
Yeah.
If you come in, you just sit in the front row, you be attentive, you go to office hours every week.
Yo, this dude should not be talking about sitting in the front row.
I was asleep.
This is what this kid would do. Yo, first time I saw Brian was in our Orgo class. I was sitting somewhere in the middle on the side somewhere, goofing around. 5-10 minutes into the class, all I hear is do. This is like what, 200 people in this auditorium. Brian storms in. Class has started. 200 people in the class. It's dark. Professor's teaching. Brian, go bring your backpack. Brian has a fat hiking backpack. Brian, do. He will walk all the way to the front of the class.
Yeah.
Look for a seat.
Yeah.
Throw his bag down. It sounded like Rock Lee. Oh, when Rock Lee was fighting Goro and he drops his freaking guard.
I did not even know it sounded
like he will sit down, put his head down, and sleep.
But like, I was like getting the information while
I remember the first time I saw it, I was like, what the hell is going on? Sleep. Wake up, walk out, get 100% on the exam. And I would be like, what? This dude is a cheat code. I was like, bro, how could you not? You will sleep. In the front row. Sit in the back.
Nah, I needed to be
oh my goodness.
Right. And it's so funny because the first few weeks of college, I used to not sit in the front row, but then shout out Mike. Mike is a good friend of mine.
S?
Yeah, Mike S. Yeah. Great guy, and I definitely I'm very glad and thankful I met him during my first chemistry class. Great guy. He definitely had that same determination, and we came from the same county growing up, so we had that shared camaraderie of trying to have that same grit and get things done. And he had a similar background to me as well. I remember I was sitting a few rows back, and then he was like, yeah, just come sit in the front row. I was like, oh, you don't see anybody else's phone or anything. Yep. It's just you and the professor. Yep. It's like you feel like you're getting an individual lesson, And specifically for that Orgo class, right, because that was my second semester, I remember for that Orgo class, you would probably think that this professor probably hated me, right?
Yeah.
But I went to every single office hours, right? And we had a good relationship, And like even throughout my college years, like whenever she'd see me in the chemistry building, she'd be like, "Oh yeah, stop by my office," things of that nature, right? Because even when we went online, I used to go to every office hours. I would practice and study the material after class, and because like I knew I was putting the work in beforehand to get to the class, I knew I understood the material. Yeah. And whenever she was teaching it in class, it would be like, I was like, oh, I just...
a revision of what you just saw.
I just reviewed this. So class was really a review. And honestly, I suggest treating class like a review. And though it may suck, read the textbook. Even if you just skim it, get the general idea, YouTube the concepts to understand what it is before you go in. Yeah. It'll take you much further.
And that's everything in life.
Yeah.
Is preparation. People talk about it. People don't listen. But literally, preparation is what takes you through everything, right? Like for my job, I'm working on a EPA plan, a emergency action plan for different things that's going on, and I had to present it.
Yeah.
And I for the last like 2 months or last month, I've drilled it in my head, drilled it to my mom, drilled it to. I've just practiced it to the point where when I got there and I was presenting it, I just felt like I was just talking to like my friend. Like it was so easy. And for those of you who are in school or who do presentations, sometimes you get nervous or you're like, oh, you feel like you're gonna fumble your words. You didn't prepare enough. When you prepare to the point where you know the material to the back of your hand, there's no stress, there's no anxiety. Like maybe you have like a little nervous going in, like, oh man, I'm performing for people. But once you start going through the material, you've done it over 1,000 times, so it becomes like muscle memory. And that's the whole purpose of like school. And if I had to give myself advice when I was back in like middle school, would be prepare, practice, and like set yourself up for success.
Yeah.
If you're able to set yourself up for success, like if you drill it, you've learned the material. Because the problem is, right, a lot of times, especially when you start working, and those of you who want to pursue higher degrees, you're going to be doing thesis, and you're going to be doing presentations, you're going to be doing all these high level stuff. When you're presenting in front of other highly intelligent people. Yeah. And so as you're going, people are going to be asking you questions, right, that you haven't prepared for. And so when you go in, if you're not prepared with the basis of what you have to do, when those other questions come, you're going to crumble. When you've prepared to the point where you know the material to the back of your hand, when you start asking me questions I may have not thought of, because I know the material so well, I can answer your question even if it's not the best answer. It'll be grounded in evidence and what you know, right? And it shows the person that you've truly prepared. And that's with people who wanna do anything, sports, any career, even in sports, right? Like you train like how you play. If before game time, if the only time you practice is during practice, you will never succeed. If the only time you study is during class, you will never succeed, right? Before games, before practice, doing your own drills, doing your own practice, going out by yourself, putting in those extra hours, studying, reading that extra paragraph, reading that extra chapter. Those little things, is literally what puts you ahead. Those little things, right? I think I talked about this last time in my podcast. I listened to this guy called Jocko Willing. He's a former Navy SEAL commander, and he talks about like before they'll go into. So he was the commanders during when they were invading Afghanistan, different battles and whatever, and he would be like, they'll have a plan of, okay, we know that there's this guy in this building. This is the route we're gonna take. This is what we're gonna do. And he'll formulate it, but he will drill it in his head over and over. But what if the enemy does this? But what if they have this? What if they put this here? He will drill every single like this is months before. So when it actually happened, like, oh, I thought about this. Easy, guys. You're gonna cover here. You're gonna go over here. You're gonna flank here. Done. No casualties. Like you drill it to the point where when whatever unspecified variable happens, you're able to kind of overcome, right? And that's the power of preparation. So if anybody takes anything out of this podcast, the power of preparation will literally change your life. It will literally change your life.
And where did you learn about the power of preparation?
I think it was just, honestly, for me, it was just the lack of preparing. And me seeing how far it will get me, right? Where through high school, through middle school, no preparation, I did okay. College, for most of the classes I did okay, but for the classes where I needed to prepare, I didn't. I got disciplined for it, right? And I remember going into my senior year, I promised myself, once I would never again go into anything not prepared.
Yeah.
Ever. It's just there's too many unknowns. You don't truly enjoy what you're doing when you're not prepared.
Yeah.
Right? And so for me, it was just after that I was just like never again. And so in everything I do now, I always try to prepare before, where I feel like I'm comfortable with whatever I'm doing before I actually have to do it.
Yeah. And
I think you've shown, for you, like in your life, at least college and high school, you've prepared and look at how far and where it's getting you,
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, there's been many times where I did not prepare and I suffered the consequences. Yeah. But I would say those specific moments where I was on my game and I prepared and I did the things that I needed to do, I really saw the benefit in having that preparation. But also another thing is focus, right? I feel like today there's a lot of things, and also we're given the illusion of infinite number of choices, but eventually there comes a day where you have to make a selection on what discipline, career path, or things that you want to go into. I know like through adolescence and even people our age right now, they're struggling with that, right? How did you make a choice on what you wanted to focus on and what you wanted to do so that you could apply that intentionality and then you could put in that power of practice?
Yeah.
Because I don't know, for you, is your goal to be a master of something, or is it to be a jack of all trades?
Yeah. So, growing up, I always wanted to be a doctor, like in the medical field. My dad's a doctor. I was like, I have to continue this. My mom, like, I did all these scribing and medical stuff in my high school. Like, I really pursued being a doctor. But I felt like when I would either be in a hospital, volunteer at hospitals, I was a medical assistant for a few months at a clinic, and I interacted with doctors, and even my dad would call me when we would talk. He'd be like, "Yeah, bro, don't do it." Growing up, he was like, he wanted to discourage his children from being a doctor. I always thought that was interesting, but when I was in college and I was thinking back to like, is this really something I want to do? I don't know. I think back to like my days as a medical assistant or a volunteer in a hospital. I'd be like, man, those were the days where I was looking at my watch all day. I would just be like, when am I done here? Like, I just, as much as I was telling myself this is what I wanted to do, I felt like my personality and what I wanted was not really matching that desire. And so, and I think that's probably one of the reasons why in classes like Orgo or Calco, whatever, I feel like I had no desire to really pursue because I just didn't really know if this was what I wanted. And so when I graduated, I was like, oh man, what am I gonna do now? I don't know if I really want to do this doctor thing. And that's when kind of what I do now kind of first started. Like I heard about it. Actually, I did an internship before my last year, and I really enjoyed it. And for me, I felt like it was the perfect mix of everything I liked, where it was the one, you don't see the same thing every day. 2, I still get to implement my medical knowledge. 3, I get to be outside and create stuff and create plans and build and see things I do come to fruition. And 4, I just get to talk to people and get to know people on a deeper level and get to know their life and help them through whatever they may be going through. And so for my job now, I feel like all these things that I enjoy about life kind of came in together into this big job, right? And luckily for me, it requires me to be a jack of all trades. Like I have to know. So in my job, I work in health and safety. And so in order to keep you safe, in order to treat you well, in order to provide, basically the company motto is we want to get you home as you came to work, right? In order to keep that, I have to know the ins and outs of your job. And so for me, I have to learn everything about everybody's job. And my company works in the heavy civil construction. So building bridges, building pillars, building highways, we're doing work at like military bases. And so there's so much that goes into it, and I have to learn about everything in order to help people, right? And so I love that because I think it forces me to become a jack of all trades. And every day I go into work and I learn something new. And the director is always learning something new. And something's always happening where we're like, oh man, we've never seen this before. How are we gonna adapt? And it's always forcing us to adapt and grow and change. And so for me, I think, to answer your question, I feel like one, I want to be that jack of all trades that knows a lot of about everything. People say either you master one thing, you become good at that, or you know a little bit about everything. I want to know a lot about everything, and that's my goal, to learn a lot about everything. And I think this job forces me to do that. Okay. How about for you? I know you've been chasing this MD for a while. Kind of how did that plan come in, and why are you so dedicated to that?
Why am I so dedicated to it? I think for me, I was never really like discouraged from it too, and like you, my father's a physician, so I always saw him working. I'd see him in the office, and I'd see like the joy that would come from patients when he would help them, right? I would, obviously, like, he's my father, so he talks stern to me. He's like, you need to do this, you need to do that, you know what I'm saying? But when he talks to patients, you know what I'm saying, he'd light up the room, you know? And, like, when people would come to his office, they would genuinely leave feeling better. They'd always want to come back. He develops a relationship with his patients, and he may start seeing some people from when they're like 70 through like the end of their life in their 90s, or maybe if they reach 100 or something like that. So seeing that's a big reason for why I wanted to become a doctor, because it was ultimately about helping people. And I wouldn't say it's all I've known, but a big factor is I also want to like continue that legacy. Like my older sister, she wants to be a dentist. My younger brother, I know he wants to work in like technology and industry, and I'm like, okay, I like medicine. I know I'm interested in a bunch of other things, but a big thing for me is I want to become a physician, and then I still want to pursue the other things that I like to do, like this, you know.
Business minded.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so interesting because I saw it too, and as a child, I think that's, although my dad would be like, don't do it. I feel like that's one of the things that drove me to do it. Is so my dad's a doctor in Ghana, and I remember I'll sometimes I'll go to the hospital from school, and for those of you, like, you know, there's a lot of, you know, inequality, a lot of bad conditions in Ghana, a lot of you know, different diseases, and he was a doctor in this town, and it was the only hospital there, like the whole that whole area. So the city and then the surrounding area is just villages. That's the only hospital. And so sometimes there'll be a line from his office outside of the hospital, from the road to like the end of the city or something. Like just over 200 people easily. Just a line. Everybody's just waiting there to see him. And so I remember one day I came from school. I don't know why I went to the hospital, but I decided to go. And so, you know, I was just walking past all these people. Some people couldn't barely walk. Some people are coughing. Some people are throwing up blood. Some, like, just all things. And he's a general practitioner. And so I'll go up and I'll just sit there. And it'll just be issue after issue. And like, you could tell he's so tired, but, like, what choice does he have? And, like, being able to help people, you could see, like, how when someone finally got into the room and got to sit down and got to talk to him, like the joy or the relief they'll have that, oh, what I'm going through is not that bad, or what I'm going through can easily be fixed. The joy on their faces as they walked out the room, which it was always so interesting to see, you know. And so it's pretty cool, and I think that's where my passion for helping people also probably came from, was seeing that like the ability to influence people and the ability to change someone's course of their day or save someone's life, you know? And I think it's pretty cool, you know?
I think that's also, like, I know that even though you chose not to be a physician, you chose a way to still apply your medical and health knowledge, you know, right? You see me, I'm just stubborn, so.
You gotta do it.
Yeah, I'm very, and just, I guess to point to the story you said earlier, I wouldn't say I'm, like, one-track minded, but I'm, like, if I want to do something, like, I'm not gonna say like, oh, if it like kills me or anything, I'm gonna still do it. But like, I'm gonna go to pretty significant lengths to make sure that I get that specific thing. And it may not be exactly how I want it, and who knows, it may be applied in a different way too. Because ultimately, I do have that business mind the same way that you do. So I know that I want to practice medicine. I'm not gonna say I want to practice medicine forever, but it's definitely a big part of what I want to do.
Yeah, I think business is big. I don't know. I really didn't think I would enjoy business this much. But there's something to.
It's fun.
Yeah, there's something to starting something from scratch and then watching it build.
I'm saying.
You know? And then not even just the wealth aspects of it, but like just being able to build. Whether like for me, I'm doing something with my friend. Whether it's being able to do something with your close friend. Whether it's being able to like, you know, build something with someone that you've known for so long, and you guys just enjoy it. I think genuinely, the world will be and this is a lot easier said than done, will be when people pursue things that one, they enjoy, and two, they enjoy that thing enough that they become good at it. Right? That's when like you're not looking at your watch every 2 seconds to see what time it is.
Exactly.
That's when you truly make the most amount of, because you're pursuing something that you genuinely enjoy. And when people can see that you truly enjoy what you're doing, people want to be around. People want to see you do it, right?
Exactly.
Like, I want to watch Messi. Like, I think I talked about it on the last podcast. I'm a big soccer guy. One of my biggest people I follow was a guy called Ronaldinho. Brazilian soccer player, amazing with the ball, amazing ball control. And, like, when he would play, you would literally see the smile on his face, bro.
Yeah.
Like, when he would score, he would literally go and dance. Like, he had, like, this massive grin. He had, like, a buck tooth. like, but you see this joy. And people love to see that. When you have a passion for something, you pursue it, and you turn it into a skill, and you do it for other people, you know, people galvanize towards that, you know?
That's true.
And it's like when you have a doctor, as a patient, when you go see a doctor, and a doctor, you could tell they have passion for what they're doing. You could tell they truly care.
Yeah.
Like, you leave feeling much better.
Yeah.
You know? And I think that's how people should go through life. Just find that one skill, find out one thing that you enjoy, turn it into a skill, pursue it, and enjoy doing it. And hey, whether you make millions or you make thousands or you don't really make much, that is what, to me, that's what life is all about.
Yeah.
You know?
I couldn't agree more, because yeah, you can chase dollars, but if you're miserable, you can't enjoy the time that you have with others. What's the point?
Yeah.
But I will say, I have no idea how long we've been going.
I know, I know, but yo, I'm gonna be a regular guest.
Of course,
you know what I'm saying.
So one thing I do want you to leave us with is, what is one mantra or thing that you live your life by, and where did you get it from?
Oh, last time I had a few bars.
Yeah.
So, I was. Have you seen? Have you heard of a podcast called PBD?
PPD.
PBD.
PBD.
Yeah, it's this guy, and he just interviewed Tom Brady.
Oh.
And there've been clips that have been released. You probably have seen it, but listening to he said something that we hear it a lot, but like, think about what he was saying. The guy basically asked him, why did you go for that 7th ring?
Yeah.
Why did you come back to chase that 7th ring? Was it because you wanted to be Michael Jordan in 6? Was it because you wanted to have one more than Bill Belichick? Was it you wanted to prove people wrong? And he was just like, man, I just thought I could be better, right? And basically, what he was saying was, he always just wanted to be his best self. He always just wanted to be better than yesterday. And that phrase, be better than who you were yesterday. In this world, it's so easy to compare yourself to your brother, to your friend, to your neighbor, to your cousin, to your whoever it is. It's so easy to, through social media, through parents, through friends. Like, it's so easy to be compared to other people. But when you're born in this world, you're born alone and you will die alone, right? There's no rule book for life. There's no manual that you're born with. The only person you have to compare yourself to is the person who you are yesterday.
Yeah.
And for me, I know I wasn't the best when it comes to preparation growing up. I know I wasn't the best when it comes to preparation through college. But my goal now is to be better than that self last year.
Yeah.
And my goal is to be better than myself last month. And my goal is to be better than what I was last week. We're constantly evolving, right? Don't settle. Always be the best version of someone and try and beat out that person. That should be your only competition. And so for me, whether I skipped the gym yesterday, I'm like, I'm gonna beat that guy yesterday. I go to the gym today. If I go to the gym today, maybe my last set wasn't to the best of my abilities. Tomorrow when I go, I'll make sure that last set was to the best of my abilities. When I go and I know maybe I slacked off work today. When I go to work, I'll do more. You know, just see how your life was yesterday, see who you were yesterday, and try and beat that. And as long as you're in constant competition with yourself, you could truly become the best version of who you are. And once you become the best version of who you are, hey, you've done your job. And that should be your job. It's to truly fulfill your potential. There's a saying that goes, the most depressing place in the world is a graveyard. And not because people are dead, but because in the graveyard you see there's so many people there who never tapped into the person that they were supposed to be.
Yeah.
Who never fully achieved their potential. And I know, Brian, I know you're gonna do it. I'm gonna strive to do it. And anybody listening, I want you to do it. The goal is to get to the graveyard fully maxing out your potential. Right? You don't want to go to heaven and God to be like, man, you're such a you're supposed to become a doctor. You're supposed to cure cancer. You're supposed to do this. I put all these talents in you, and you didn't do any of that.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. And then I want you to change your language. I noticed you said that, I'm going to do it, and you said you're going to strive.
Yeah, I'm going to strive to do it.
You're going to do it too.
Yes, sir.
You're going to do it too.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. That's the goal.
How
about you? What do you want to leave the people with?
Hey, I think I've said everything that I wanted to say, but ultimately I'll say do what makes you happy, because if you do what makes you happy, you'll never work a day in your life. Yeah.
On that note, I'll be back, guys.
Yeah, but as always, I'm your host, Brian.
I'm your co-host at this point, Jamaine.
Thank you for coming on, man.
Of course, my brother.
And peace.
Of
Wait.